Hey, it's Maximo and welcome to Maximo's Travels. Sadly, our trip to the Rockies has come to an end. This is the day 8 and last video from the Canadian Rockies. It's a huge travel day. We travel to Jasper all the way to Merritt in British Columbia. Along the way, we stop and have a view of Mount Robson, the highest peak in the Canadian Rockies. We drive through spectacular scenery until we finally reach Merritt. At Merritt, we check into our hotel and have probably the best ribs I've ever had in my life at a very unassuming diner. Join me. Yes, it feels so sad leaving the Canadian Rockies behind us. It was a huge day of driving ahead of us and reflecting on the trip. The only thing that we wanted to see that we didn't see was the Clavell Lake because the road was closed. It's good when all your planning and research comes to fruition and you see exactly what you wanted to see with no issues. And speaking of planning, a lot of time, effort and planning was spent in making this a perfect trip. If you're interested in following my itinerary, I have produced a one-page PDF of my itinerary that's available for free download from my Buy Me a Coffee storefront. Click on the QR code on the screen or use the link in the description. I've also created a paid 11-page detailed ultimate itinerary for the Canadian Rockies. It's an 8-day self-drive trip that includes tips and tricks, how to get there, accommodation, distances, maps. It's a fantastic guide that will save you time and effort in planning your perfect Canadian Rocky itinerary. We woke up early, had breakfast, and got going at around about 7 a.m. on our last day, sadly, in the Canadian Rockies. Today was going to be a big travel day, so we filled up the car and were eager to leave Jasper. Little did we know we were going to be delayed by several minutes by one of the longest trains I think I've ever seen in my life.
Much later.
We've been stopped here for 5 minutes. It's a very, very long train.
One eternity later.
Hooray!
Perhaps there's another one.
Oh no! Oh, thank God. Oh dear. It really did seem like an eternity, but finally we were on our way. We were heading west, then south. A very long travel day of around 608 kilometers and over 6.5 hours of driving from Jasper to Merritt. We were travelling on Route 16, the Yellowhead Highway. Unfortunately, we missed the parking lot for Portal Lake, which provides stunning views of the surrounding countryside reflected in the lake. And unfortunately, there was nowhere to turn around easily. If you want to see the lake, then as soon as you see the border sign between British Columbia and Alberta, pull off into the little car park on the right. That's what we would have seen. Oh well, maybe next time. We kept driving towards our first stop, the Mount Robson Visitor Centre. This is around 55 minutes and 87 kilometres from Jasper on very easy roads with stunning, breathtaking scenery along the way. It wasn't long until we came to the Mount Robson Visitor Centre. Mount Robson is the most prominent mountain in North America's entire Rocky Mountain range. It's the highest point in the Canadian Rockies. It's located entirely within the Mount Robson Provincial Park in British Columbia. Its elevation is 3,954 metres, or nearly 13,000 feet. The visitor centre is quaint. There's a petrol station and also a cafe where you can get a coffee and something to eat. So after a quick stop for a pit stop and some photo taking opportunities, we hit the road again. And speaking of roads, there's really not much cell phone coverage between here and Clearwater, a distance of almost 200 kilometres. I think there's only one petrol station as well. So I would suggest that you download your maps offline to your phone and make sure you've got plenty of petrol to get you to the next destination. It's also advisable to bring a good pair of sunglasses because the glare can be a bit much sometimes. As we continued driving, the valleys opened up, the mountains got less high, and there was a lot less snow cover on them. We'd had such a fantastic time in the Canadian Rockies, it was a bit sad to leave them behind. We made another pit stop for an ice cream and a coffee in a little town called Bluewater. It was more a petrol station than a town really. We welcomed the short break and had a driver change. After about 8 hours, we arrived at our destination, Merritt. Merritt is located around 3 hours northeast of Vancouver, our next main destination. It was going to be an easy drive the next morning. We've arrived in Merritt and it's a balmy 27 degrees Celsius. Quite warm. I'm in t-shirts and shorts and sandals.
Later that night.
It had been a long tiring day of driving and also we weren't used to the heat. I had a bit of a nap in the afternoon and then we went out for dinner. The home restaurant, located conveniently next door to the Ramada Inn where we were staying. The online reviews were good and I was quite surprised at the number of gluten-free items they had on the menu. It looked like a typical North American family-run diner. I had a honey brown lager and so did Joe, and it was very, very refreshing and ice cold. That's expertly poured, if I must say so myself. You sure you spent some time in a pub? Oh, thank you. Is that mine?
What's it like?
It's very nice. It's slightly sweet, fruity. It's a honey beer, so I'm not sure I'm getting honey, but very nice. So that's my entree, ribs and chips and corn. And that's Joe's entree fish and chips.
It's not entree.
It's not an entree? No, just normal fish and chips. Those St. Louis ribs were absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend Home Restaurant if you're in the Merritt area. I'll also do a review of the accommodation we were staying at, the Ramada Inn in Merritt, in a upcoming video quite shortly. And just like that, our epic 8-day trip to the Canadian Rockies was at an end. We had an absolutely fabulous time. There's so many countless wonders and majestic scenery that we saw on our 8 days in the Rockies. It's a trip that I'll never forget. I do hope you've liked this video. If so, please hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notify bell so you'll never miss another forthcoming video. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider buying me a coffee. Until our next adventure from Canada, you take care and bye now.